Did you try to match like personalities when he was on campus from your team players with him?
No, I thought it was very important for him to realize he's going to be part of a group of players offensively and then as a team that have to play well together. So the first night, his official host was Nick Toon. Some of you may have read about that. Nick did a great job of building a relationship with him, but we bring what we call a player panel. Just allow our players to sit down and us coaches just leave the room. And they ask him all kinds of questions. I went back in and just kind of ran back there about after an hour or so because we wanted to visit with them as coaches, and they're all just hooping it up and hollering. And it's the Ohio State game. We're watching a replay of that on the TV version, and they were kind of explaining what the plays were, how they are set up, why they're called in a certain way, and it was great. The next day he came.
Is that panel with members from each of your classes?
All freshman skill players. So both my tailback, Brady and James, were in there. Brady Ewing, Jacob Pedersen, Jake Byrne,
Okay.
Nick Toon, Jared Abadaris, and they just asked questions. And then in the morning we had an opportunity to bring our offensive lineman into a room and let him sit down and visit with him because he had made a comment to me he really was looking forward to playing behind an offensive line of our stature. And I think that was kind of a moment where he realized this is a different game here with the guys we have coming walking in the room. So I think the one thing we really believe in recruiting here is our players are our best ambassadors, they're our best salesmen, to let them sell why you should come here. And I wanted to let them begin to understand what they're dealing with. Him and Aaron actually had an opportunity to get to know each other, Aaron Henry, and I thought Aaron did a great job because Aaron obviously is on the other side of the ball, but Aaron's a tremendous man of faith and related to Russell, I think, really, really well.
As you're aware, expectations have just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys are going to have to deal with, you think?
You know what, Tom? I totally understand, and I know why people are going to naturally go down that path. But one of the things I've tried to do is temper not only coaches' expectations, but fan expectations and people that love. I mean, I think it's a sign of respect. They know that was an area that everybody's kind of looking at as a position of weakness, but to me, it's going to become a position of strength because there's great competition, and we're not going to change what we do. I'm still back there in my office doing the exact same thing I'd be doing if Russell was here or not here. We're going to approach the fall camp the exact same way. Obviously, there's a competition thing there we're going to have to work through, but we've done that before, and I wouldn't have gone down this path if it wasn't someone that I really respected as a person that I thought could handle this situation.
Go ahead, Chris.
From the stats, it looked like he took off running a lot.
Yeah.
Did they do a lot of design runs, or was that mostly when stuff broke down?
Well, I think if you watch Russell on film, you realize he is a gifted athlete. He throws the ball in the move very, very well. Now, whether it was by design or by by people being his face, I think there's a little bit of a combination of both, and he kind of made reference to that. But he I think is excited, and the part that I really thought was going to be a great fit is he's shown how he can play in that type of offense, but our offense is a little bit different. Now you got the play action, the run action that's going on in combination with his skills that he can bring as a thrower is pretty special.
You talked a lot yesterday about his day-to-day approach. Do you think there's a baseball influence? Having played professional baseball, is there some benefits to that?
Yeah, you know what? I was the last kid picking baseball every time in gym class, so I don't understand baseball. I didn't pretend to. Every day I'd get on, I'd check and see how he did the night before, and make a comment. Sometimes it was 0 for 3, or one time it was 3 for 4, and he is definitely a task-oriented individual. Everything's kind of like on a checklist. You can tell he's very guarded, very reserved. He's opened up more and more as we move forward, but you can tell he's a guy that likes to have the plan out in front of him and lay it out in a way that he knows he can follow.
What do you think it says about your program that's been known for running the football, to get such a talented transfer quarterback? Do you think about that at all?
Well, I had to battle that because that's all he kept throwing in my face. I think in other schools we're using that against us. We're a run-oriented school. Well, we're an offense-oriented school. I understand, I get it. We got good running backs, but there's not been a lot of people in college football, especially over the last couple of years, that have been as balanced as we are. And that's the part that I think we ended up ultimately selling to them was, you get a chance to come in here. You're not going to have to do it on your own. I believe some other people that are recruiting were selling them, hey, come in and you're the man. You're going to do this. You're going to win the Heisman. We're going to win the national championship. Da-da-da-da-da. Whereas my plan was, hey, this is what we are. If you want to fit into this, I think you can be tremendously successful. And it has been, I think, a good awakening for me to realize on a national level that we can compete with anybody.
Because of that balance, do you think you guys are changing that perception?
No, Ron Dane, P.J. Hill, Brian Calhoun. I mean, before Ron Dayton. There were several others with Coach Alvarez. One thing we can do here, we can recruit tight ends, O-linemen, and running backs. That's not a problem for us. It's exciting, but it's also just the reality. I don't want to replace what the image is at Wisconsin. I mean, it is what it is, but I think the more we can kind of sneak up on people a little bit, that helps us.
The SEC has banned these one-year transfers. What do you think of the rule that allows a graduate to play right away?
I think it's, you know what? Everybody's recruiting story and everybody's career history and story is unique, and this really helps a kid out in this situation. He's a young man that, was told by his coach that if he wasn't going to give up baseball, he wasn't going to be the starter in the fall, and it gave this kid an option to do this. Zach Brown, who I just lost to Pittsburgh, I didn't want to see Zach Brown go, but I did not fight. I called every program that he wanted me to call. I sat down, called Miami, had an official visit at Miami, Pittsburgh, Miami, Ohio. Several other schools reached out to me. If that's what Zach wants, I want to provide it for him. So I think it is a unique thing. I'm glad that the SEC is now taking such a leading role in NCAA proposals. That's a very entertaining thing for me to watch and witness. So I hope it doesn't change, because now there are abuses, to it. I think some people are, using it in a way that, but if the NCAA can kind of maybe still monitor in a certain way, not just let it happen if a kid wants to jump schools. But for situations like this, I think it's a great thing.
Despite the way it ended for him at NC State, did their coaches speak pretty highly of him?
Ultimately, just the highest levels of compliments. There wasn't any. I don't think he has any ill will towards them, and the same thing. Their coaches, glowing recommendations, and just even people emailing me or sending out messages, that you could see there's truly love there.
Right, going back to what you said before, Scott Tolzien's still on campus working out, I assume?
Scotty, we got a great thing going on right now because of this lockout thing. You can go downstairs, you can watch Jimmy Leonard, Joe Thomas, Jimmy Leonard's down there working out. All those NFL players come back to Madison and work out. So those guys that are under the lockout right now, that are seniors, all those guys, Isaac Anderson's down there. I saw John Clay in there last week. So we let him use our facilities, And Scotty, I think he's out there throwing right now, actually.
So he's volunteered to help along the...
He just said, Coach, anything I can do, Again, we out-checked on what the rules would be there, too. I'm a former player, but, Scotty just, that's how he is. Anything I can do to help.
Since you guys have such limited contact, has Ben Herbert become a pretty big guy in the next month? And
Huge.
Helping with the transition?
Huge. Ben Herbert, Jamil Walker, Brian Bott, and a couple other assistants down there. It's all in their hands. I really don't lay out, I kind of keep updated, in thoughts, but it's by NCAA rules, we're hands off. We can't do much, and Herbs has done a tremendous job the last 2 years, and it really shows up. We've been very successful as of late in recruiting, and I can't tell you how many times the parent or the kid would tell me, Coach Herbert is the best one. We've been all over this conference. We've been all over this country, and your strength staff is the best we've ever visited with. So I think that really is apparent now.
Brett, does it remain to be seen that this was all worth your effort?
Well, yeah, the proof is in the pudding in the end. But as far as getting a great kid in our program, who I think helps bolster our competition, it's worth every minute of it. For two months, Paul and I have been pretty intense in this process, but it was good. For us, it looks like a situation that could potentially be very, very helpful for our program.
Is Paul pretty enthusiastic about how he fits in?
Well, you know what? When I first got, Paul's like so emotional, as you guys know. I didn't know how he was going to take it, and I got the transfer request. I came in the morning, I saw it, reached out to Paul. Coach Rice from Wanakee, his brother is the strength coach there at NC State, so there were some things that we could, ask him questions about, and there were some connections there. So it's just one of those things. There were so many things that it was ironic. My brother, of all places in the entire country, he just transferred jobs to Asheville and was living in Asheville. I mean, they never met, never saw each other, but it was kind of funny. There was all these connections, putting things together. So it's been a pretty unique process.